recognize? What do you see? The cult of personality. I know your anger. I know you see. Oh, the cult of personality. Cult of personality. The cult of personality. All right, I can go all day. Welcome, folks. This is Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. This podcast is brought to you by the LMG Podcast Network, and it's a fun day. You know what I mean? We got some very interesting things going on. My man Triple H has been cooking. If you've been watching the Raw and SmackDown post WrestleMania in this new era, they've been cooking. All been bangers. All the episodes have been bangers. So today we're going to talk about the latest episode of Raw, or latest episode of SmackDown, of Raw, some new news, things going on. So, yeah, you know how we do. You know how we do. So, first off, let's talk about some matches of the week. Because these shows have been bangers, obviously they've been giving us some really good wrestling as well as character stuff. So, match of the week, first one, got to talk about that AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, Kevin Owens match on SmackDown, the triple threat contenders match. Man, really good match. You kind of knew with those three, those are vets. The most vet you can get. You know what I mean? And it's funny, I saw somebody say on Twitter, AJ Styles might be the best triple threat wrestler of all time, because it seems like anytime AJ Styles is in a triple threat, that's when he breaks out his creative bag. That's when he hits you with the Styles Clash from a different angle or off the top rope, or catches somebody, especially with a Rey Mysterio. Oh, I mean, the art is just, it makes itself, right? He can catch Rey Mysterio, trying to do a springboard, boom, catch him right into the Styles Clash. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you kind of knew, like, with the Styles, and you knew KO was going to do some creative stuff. So yeah, man, that was a really fun match. Those guys really killed it. They kind of like showed the youngsters in the back, like, this is how you wrestle. This is how you put a match together. And AJ Styles came in with the victory. Really good match. I suggest people go watch that one. That was on the latest episode of SmackDown, and really good one. A really good one. Had fun watching that one. I watched it twice, matter of fact. The LA Knight, Santos and Bobby Lashley match was fun too. That was a fun one. It wasn't quite a banger, but still fun. And LA Knight won, which probably who should have won that one. But it was a good match. A lot going on, a lot of potential Legado del Fantasma versus Street Profits and Bobby. Like, there's some things there going on. They kind of laid some seeds there. But I will say this tag match they had on Raw last night with DIY, the Creed brothers, and the New Day to see who's going to be the number one contender for the tag team championships against the new belts that the Awesome Truth tag team are carrying. We'll talk about that later. But this was a number one contender match. Really fun. Started off a little rocky just because timing. It's hard with three tag teams literally trying to get all the timing right and all the spots right. But they eventually got it down. It was fun, and the finish was really cool, where you saw that it looked like they called it the Big Time Famouser, where it looks like Austin Creed was carrying, I forgot who he was carrying, but then they did. Then Kofi came over and hit him with a Famouser at the same time. It was a really cool move. I suggest you go watch the match, but it was a really cool move that I don't know if I've seen them do before. I'm not a New Day aficionado because they break out moves all the time randomly. I feel like they'll just be playing, 2K24 and be like, "Ooh, that's a cool little move. Let's do that next week," and they try it. But it was a really fun match. I thought Creed Brothers looked good for the most part. And I thought the finish was great because it showed that DIY could hit you with that finishing move at any moment, where they both kind of run together and hit you with the kick and the knee in the back of the head, and you're out. You know what I mean? Lights out. So I thought that was a really good match. I thought it was really fun. And it just showed that like the Raw women, the Raw tag team division is really solid, like really really solid, and they're really pushing DIY, and I'm hoping DIY gets the victory over Awesome Truth. I think they will, just because I think Awesome Truth got their WrestleMania moment, right? That was a tip the cap, homage to R-Truth, really. The Miz too, but mainly to R-Truth, just due to the work he's put in over the last 5 to 6 months of really getting himself in a position to even be on WrestleMania or to be on TV for that matter, weekly. So yeah, I thought them winning at WrestleMania and that 6 pack tag team match for the separated titles. I think that was a homage to them, but now we're going to get an actual. They were basically a transitional champion, and so now we're going to get DIY getting the belts and defending them on a weekly basis. So those are our matches of the week. Now let's talk about probably one of the biggest things to come out of the past week. Essentially, as we know, with Cody defeating Roman, there's a hierarchy in the business, right? It's kind of been blurry just because Roman has been champion for so long. We just expect stuff to happen, whether Roman has a title or not. We expect Roman to have the big locker room that nobody can get in, and the bloodlines, protecting you. You expect Paul Heyman to be walking around making phone calls and doing things as they may, rather than being required to do anything, coming out whenever they want, speaking whenever they will. Roman's showing up when he wants, right? Well, now Cody's the champ, and Cody's getting the big locker room. Cody's getting all the stuff that Roman was getting, and it's taking some time for the bloodline to come to grips with that. And essentially, Paul Heyman was talking to Solo, was like, they walked over to the locker room where they usually go in the arena, and where Roman is usually his locker room. They see the American Nightmare sign there, and they're like, "Hold up, like homie took our spot," And Paul Heyman's like, "Well, that's what happens when you lose the championship. When you're not the guy anymore, that's what happens. You lose some status. You lose, a little bit of sway around here." So Solo didn't seem too happy about that. They go out there, and Paul Heyman is basically discussing how the bloodline has no excuses. They don't put any excuses. Congrats to Cody. The bloodline. We came prepared, but Cody was prepared a little bit better. It was a little more focused, and he basically was just saying like, "But Roman will rise from the ashes like a phoenix," and then Solo interrupts him. Solo's like, "Nah, nah, if you lose, there's consequences." Just like Heyman told him earlier, when you lose, there's consequences. When you lose your status. You lose your nice little spacey locker room spot. You lose all those privileges. Well, Solo's flipping it back on him, and like, if you lose, there's got to be consequences, right? And Paul Heyman's like, "Oh no, like you better whip my ass." You know what I mean? But he then Solo looks at Jimmy, and Jimmy Uso's like, "Wait, hold on, like you coming at me? Like I'm in the family. I didn't do nothing, I didn't do nothing wrong technically, he tried to help in the main event match. Jay just speared him off the stage. You know what I mean? He can't do nothing about that. Through some tables. And Solo helped too. So it wasn't like Solo was super successful. I mean, he did beat up some people, but he also got attitude adjustment through a table by John Cena. So basically, Solo takes aim at Jimmy, he actually goes and hugs Jimmy. This is a good callback. This is something Roman used to do. When Roman was about to really punish you, he'll come up, give you a hug, pat you on the back, and then punish you. Then you get your licks. Well, this is the same thing Solo did. And I thought that was a really cool detail. And so Solo hugs Jimmy. He's like, "You're my brother. I love you." And then they don't they kind of let go of each other, and then you think Jimmy's safe. Solo walks away. Boom. Jimmy's attacked by, trying to get the name right, Tama Tonga. his name, that's not his real name, it's Fatu, but in WWE it's Tama Tonga, which is one of the sons of the Fatus. Which if you know wrestling, you know the Fatu. Um, he actually has a brother too who might be coming into WWE, but we'll keep an eye out on that. But Tama Tonga has a long history with that family. He's related. They're all cousins, you know what I mean? And so he's a perfect fit in the bloodline. So Tama Tonga attacks Jimmy and starts beating the hell out of Jimmy. And you can tell Solo kind of set it up that way. And Paul Heyman's like, whoa, 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 what the hell? Like, stop. This is not what the tribal chief would want. And Solo's like, shut the hell up. Like I'm handling business. And so, yeah, and then Solo starts going at Jimmy and start beating the mess out of him and hit him with like 4 or 5, like thumb, the stiff thumb to the neck. And yeah, it was rough. They was beating the dog out of Jimmy. Put a cheer on him, Brandon hit him with the Rikishi. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was tough. It was tough to watch, but it was really good. It was sold that Solo is moving on up. And so Solo and Tama Tonga put them ones in the air, right? Acknowledge me. Now, a key detail, if you ever watched any Bloodline, you notice the Solo is usually the only one of the crew. Even when Sammy was in the crew, even when Jay was in the crew, they all put up the ones, threw their ones in the air to acknowledge the tribal chief for the Bloodline. Solo never put his hand in the air. Solo always had his arms crossed. You know what I mean? Look at me. Like he never put his hands up. So that's a callback. If you've really been watching, that's low-key an Easter egg of now that Solo sees himself as the tribal chief, he now throws up the ones. And he brought over Paul Heyman, was like, nah, you need to be over here with me. You're now under my authority. And so Paul's like, okay. And Paul's like nervous. He's like, okay, let me just call Roman real quick. He's like, call Roman Reigns on his phone. And Solo snatches out his hand, throws it on the ground, steps on it. So a blatant disrespect for Roman Reigns, right? So now what we believe is Solo is taken or has individually placed the tribal chief moniker on himself. We're not sure if the people in the family granted him that, like they granted Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Roman Reigns was blessed with that name, with that authority. He did it when we were in the pandemic. He got the necklace. He got all that. He got blessed by the ancestors. You know what I mean? But in this case, it seems like Solo's just going rogue. So I am very, very much interested in this storyline. At first, I was like, I'm not a huge Solo fan, to be honest. I don't know if he has the aura, the all that stuff to do what Roman did or to assume that spot. Now, but I will say, at the time, if you would ask me in 2020, if Roman Reigns had the aura, if Roman Reigns had the ability to carry a company, if Roman Reigns had the ability to hold down a faction as a true and legitimate final boss, I would have been like, nah, Roman Reigns? Hell no. Hell no. That dude, like I'd have been like, hell no. He ain't got that swag. He ain't got that, none of that. Charisma, none of that. I would have said that. But as we now speak to you 4 years later, Roman Reigns is now the GOAT. So it's very hard for me to just be like, I'm not saying Solo's going to be the GOAT or anything like that. What I'm saying is Solo, there was a potential in Roman that I didn't necessarily see in regards to this character work. I've seen Solo when he was in NXT. He did really good work in NXT. It's unfortunate that he kind of been limited to this enforcer role, which was kind of part of his NXT character. But in NXT, like he was the street fighter. Like he was the dude who was on the street fighting anybody. And he was talking crazy to people. So he was good on the mic too. Where in this, he hasn't been able to show his mic skills on the main roster, which I think in this role, he will be able to. So I think that'll help him. But I say all that to say, I I saw this on Twitter, so I wish I knew the person's name who I saw it from because I don't want to steal the idea. But essentially, what it is the overall thought is that we have another Fatu coming in the WWE soon, right? The what they believe is now Solo is going to create his own bloodline. Solo is going to low key like WCW, NWO, Wolfpack, NWO versus each other. We might get that as far as the bloodline. So we're gonna get Solo's version. So it's Solo, the two Tongas. I'm assuming the new Jacob Fatu who's coming over. I think he was GCW or I forgot where he was. Super talented, great in the ring, straight nigga to be honest. Like a cool as hell, like really good wrestler. Jacob Fatu comes in. I don't know what his name will be. Probably something Tonga. They'll probably have them as a tag team to kind of replace that Usos spot, right? They'll probably maybe bring in somebody else potentially. Who knows? But you have a new bloodline now that Solo is the leader of, right? Well, now you have you have a king who has lost his throne, so now he has to regain it, right? In Roman Reigns. So when Roman comes back, the crowd gonna go crazy, especially if he's gone for a long period of time. The crowd gonna go crazy. The thought is, what if to defeat this new bloodline, what if Roman puts together the old bloodline? What if Roman goes, Jay, I know, I get it. I messed up. Like I did wrong by you, right? Oh, what if also what if The Rock blesses Solo as the tribal chief? So The Rock goes, nah, Roman, you lost. We got the next man up now, right? What if he blesses them? That adds to it. So now Solo has the Tongas and The Rock, and potentially Paul Heyman. We'll see what side he goes to, right? So that's his crew. That's a legitimate crew. Well, now Roman has to go put the Avengers back together, put the bloodline back together. And he goes, okay, Jey Uso, hey man, I need you. I know, I get it, but I need you and I need your brother Jimmy, right? I need both of y'all. I gotta have the Usos with me. And he's like, all right. Like, it's gonna take some hella convincing, but I think eventually, and again, I think this is a long drawn out storyline. So I think this could potentially run all the way to Survivor Series. What if we got this for War Games, right? The Bloodline versus the Bloodline. And then what if, bruh, I get chills thinking about it. What if Roman walks back up to Sami? Walks back up to Sami Zayn. He's like, bro, I can't do this without you. You know? Bro, the crowd gonna go crazy. What? Bro, like Sami hasn't been to the level Sami was since he was at the Bloodline. And I love what Sami's doing, and I've always really liked Sami. But bro, think of Sami Zayn back. Think of that music. Think of Roman's music hitting. Roman walking out there with the Usos and Sami behind him. And they both throw up them ones like they did back in the day. When Bloodline at its peak, bro. Can't imagine. I can't imagine. Like the crowd gonna go crazy, man. But I'm stealing someone's idea. I don't know who it is. It's on somewhere on the internet. I apologize if I don't get your name right. But essentially, I think the long-term goal, and I'm hoping they stretch it. Knowing Triple H, Triple H is never gonna. He doesn't cheat us, right? Triple H doesn't cheat us, so Triple H ain't gonna speed a story up just to get it over with. He's gonna let that's his. I think Triple H knows, okay, that's my ace in the hole. So for that be my ace in the hole, I gotta pay respect to it, and I gotta treat it like my baby. So I gotta drag that storyline all the way out. Get every ounce of sweat I can get out of that storyline. So that thing gonna last maybe till Mania. We'll see. Maybe till Royal Rumble, maybe till SummerSlam, maybe till War Games. Who knows? But I love to see that. Love to see that. So yeah, Bloodline power struggle. I'm all here for it. I really am. I love the Bloodline. It's probably my favorite faction of all time, to be honest. And when it dissipated, and when Sammy left and Jay left, it felt a little, this ain't my bloodline, you know? But now it feels like, oh, okay, now the bloodline story shifted a bit. And now we're going in a totally different direction that I can get along with. Now you have my attention again. Just like you had my attention back in the day when it was Sammy trying to get into the bloodline and Roman wasn't, satisfied with him and making him do all kind of things and jump through hurdles, and Jimmy was trying to hook him up, help him out. Jay was pissed at him all the time for even being around the crew. Like, that stuff was, that was weekly television, classic stuff. I think we're heading in a direction that we can start getting that type of stuff again. So I'm really excited about that. I don't know if Solo's the guy. Again, I don't know if Solo's the guy to carry this thing. But again, if you would have asked me in 2019, I would have been like, no, Roman is not the guy to carry the company. He just isn't. He isn't the guy to carry your show week to week, or this company, or a huge storyline. No, I don't want to see, So again, things can change. Things can change. All right. So moving on, we'll talk about Rhea Ripley relinquishing the women's championship. Sad stuff. I love Rhea Ripley. I'm a Rhea Ripley stan. It's unfortunate she got hurt with a stupid attack by freaking Liv Morgan. Of course, Liv Morgan's involved, screwing some stuff up. Liv Morgan, I guess there was a backstage segment where Liv threw a chair at Rhea and a side swipe attack, threw her against her wall, and that's what messed up her shoulder, collarbone area injury. I don't know the specific injury, but that messed her up. So she's going to be out for a while. So folks are pissed because Seth Rollins was hurt, never had to relinquish his title. Roman Reigns has been out, not necessarily due to injury, but due to just being out, taking breaks, never had to relinquish his title. But Rhea gets hurt one time and she has to relinquish her title. Stupid. I think it's dumb. Who knows the timetable? And I get they're not trying to hang up a title, and that women's title has been honestly the forefront of the division. There's a reason it's been the forefront of the division, because it's Rhea Ripley, right? If Rhea Ripley was holding the other title and Bayley was hoping, or Io was holding this title, that other title would be this title everybody wants or talks about. So it just sucks that I thought Rhea was going to go on a 2-year, 3-year run with that belt, and it just sucks. But I'm hoping she obviously get well soon, Rhea. It sucks, and I'm hoping the way they made it look like on Raw last night was that Rhea's going away for a bit. Like, she's going away. She's not just getting help, getting her surgery and then coming back and going to be on TV every week, just not going to wrestle. It sounded like Judgment Day was sending her off, for a break for a little bit. So that sucks too, because I think Judgment Day is at its best when Rhea is running things, right? When Rhea is acting like a boss and they're executing her plan, that's when Judgment Day is at its peak. Judgment Day, sometimes when it's just everybody's just in for themselves, that's how you get, no offense, R-Truth running in the mix and kind of fully, I don't want to say fully destroying, but think how hot the Judgment Day was. And then R-Truth gets involved, and it's like on that momentum, So I think when Rhea's involved, it keeps the story very focused. Rhea's about trying to get the Judgment Day wins and belts and championships and get them more power. Where when Rhea's not there, Dominic's going to have to maybe take that role. I think that would be the smart play. Have Dominic step up leadership-wise, because that gets you more heat for the Judgment Day. No one likes Dominic. If Damian steps up, which he probably will because he's a champion, okay, cool, he stepped up as champion. But I don't really get mad about that. I don't really care. And if Damian's out there calling if Dominic is out there calling the shots, yeah, people are going to have a reaction to that, which is what you want. You want to get him some heat, get him some momentum again. So it just sucks that Rhea had to relinquish. I am interested with this, these tournaments, to see who's going to be the contender and all these things. I think you probably should go either Nia Jax should be the next champion, Shayna Baszler potentially, or you wait till Charlotte. Obviously, we'll talk about the draft coming up that will have heavy effects on this. But this is just speaking off the cuff of what we know so far with Raw roster. I think it should probably be Nia Jax for a little bit at least. And that'll buy you a little time for even when the draft works out, give you some time for if you want to with some call ups, or Tiffany Stratton if you want to put the belt on her eventually later, things of that nature. So I hate to see Rhea hurt. I think she's a superstar. I think she's the top woman in the division right now. But I do think she'll come back bigger and better. And when she comes back, it's going to be crazy. All right. Now let's talk about, like I talked about with the tag team match with DIY and Creed Brothers and New Day. They were fighting to obviously face against Awesome Truth, who was the tag team champions. Well, in this past latest episode of Raw, we actually got a new belt design for the tag team titles. I think these are called the World Tag Team Championships, and they look solid. I do think there's a little repetitiveness in the design a little bit. Like they went to the same guy who developed the Women's World Championship and also developed the Men's World Heavyweight Championship. Like they went to the same person, which I get it. If you got a good reaction to both of those, you probably want to go to the same person again. But I do think there's a little bit of repetitiveness. Like if I put that belt next to the World Heavyweight title, I'm like, I could see the same person made these both. I could tell, you know what I mean? And I wish they would have went with more of the 90s, 2000s look where the shape of the belt was different than every other belt. All the shapes of the belts were different. The Intercontinental Championship was different shape. The world title was the circle. The world title was the circle, full circle. Everything else was a different shape, felt like. And so I wish they kind of would go a little bit in that route just to distinguish and feel like, ooh, these are their own thing. We're still yet to see what the SmackDown version of the tag team titles are going to look like. I'm hoping they're not just the same with blue font. I'm hoping that's not the case because that is hella boring. However, I think that'll be the case, unfortunately, just because I think with belts designs, you're dealing with a corporation, right? These people want to sell toys, so they do not want to make something too fancy to where they can't flip that thing and make toys out of it, and they want something that the kids will like. Which this thing is basic enough to where the kids will like it. But the new tag team belts, they're definitely better than the old ones. I'll say that. Like they're definitely an upgrade. It's just a little repetitiveness in the build of them. But I am happy that they're better than they were. And I'm happy that they're split. So Awesome Truth. I think they're a transitional champion. I think they're a very good transitional champion because you don't even have to have a match to have the tag team champions on TV, right? Like last night, Miz and R-Truth were on TV because they got the titles unveiled, but they were entertaining the whole time, right? Where DIY, Creed Brothers, you have to give them a match for them to make TV most of the time, just because their strength is in the ring, not necessarily as entertainers on the mic, promos, segments, all that stuff. So I do like them as champs. I get why you would do it. Adds a little comedy to the show, things of that nature. But I do think it's transitional. All right, let's talk about, again, Raw, one of the best moments of Raw. Maybe one of the best moments of the year, honestly. As many of you guys have seen, there has been a lot of talk and positive feedback on WWE's production lately, right? These long shots, not 1,000 cuts like they used to do. They fired the guy that was doing all that stuff. Now it's like, feels like I'm following an NBA game or I'm following an NFL game where I get to see Jey Uso walk out, like fully walk out his locker room all the way up to the curtain and walk out. Here's music hit, walk out. Or Kevin Owens talks on a promo while he's walking to the ring to his match, throws the mic away. You see him all the way go in and go to work. So that was beautiful. But last night I thought was their best work. They had Jey Uso win his match, walk up the side of the, in the crowd, up to the, back of the area where fans are. And he's walking out, he's going this way. And then he sees Sammy, who Sammy's having his matches up next. And we're in Montreal, by the way. This is where Sammy's from. And Sammy goes, "Yo, what up, Jay? I'm just standing here looking because when I started my career, I literally walked in this way into this arena to wrestle for the first time in front of fans and stuff." So he's like, "I thought it'd be best for me to do that again today." So he walks in, crowd's going nuts. You can start getting hyped because one thing about Sami Zayn, he can get you hyped. Like one thing about Sami Zayn, he can get you hyped. You can be tired, sitting there watching, tired, about to fall asleep, and then Sammy get on the TV and get him with a crowd, and he's about to, like, let's say a Sammy that's about to have a match. Oh yeah, he about to go crazy. He about to get you hyped, especially in Montreal. He starts getting hyped with the crowd, and his music hits. He starts walking through the crowd. Place is going crazy. Yeah, man, that was a beautiful, beautiful production. Beautiful production, man. Like, I just love seeing Sammy get the love, but also them treating these dudes like characters, like movie level characters. You know what I mean? Following them along, and like just the camera work and everything has just stepped up so much since Triple H got there. It's kind of crazy that everything is improved, even down to the finest detail of the camera shots and the angles and the promos and the angles we take of guys shooting promos and backstage segments and things of that nature. So really, really enjoyed that. Shout out to Sami Zayn. If you haven't seen that, they probably posted it on WWE's Instagram or Twitter, or if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it was a really, really cool angle and a really cool shot. So I mentioned the draft earlier. So basically, we're going to have a WWE draft. I believe the first time when it starts is April 26th, I believe. And then obviously it'll go for a few weeks until it's completed. But what I want to talk about, my top 5 today has to do with the draft. So I'll kind of leave some of that up to them, up to that top 5 to kind of give my thoughts on what I want. But I was wondering, let's just focus on a sec for NXT. Right, the draft. The cool thing about the draft is you can see NXT characters get called up to the main roster. Right, we've had literally everyone who's on the show right now, for the most part, are usually touched NXT, especially the guys running the place. LA Knight, the Judgment Day, all touched NXT, literally all of them. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, all those guys came from NXT. Other than Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre came from NXT. Most of the top guys right now are touched NXT at some point. So let's look at the NXT roster, and I'm just going to go through some people who I think should probably get called up. I think Andre Chase should get called up. I think the Chase U thing could be huge. You put him on SmackDown, man, I think Chase U, you give him like his full crew, I think, man, fans are going to start dressing up as Chase U members, students. You're going to have kids dressed up as Chase U. When he does his whole stump, C, H, A, you know what I mean? When he does that whole thing, the crowd's going to be going crazy, right? Like, I just think in his character work where he like cusses and gets bleeped out, like all that stuff, I think would be really good for Andre Chase. Like that'd be a guy. If I'm Triple H, I go, yeah, I don't know if he can be my world champion. I don't know about any of that. I know he could be good for TV, and I know he could be really good for merch, honestly. So I think Chase U would be a good person. I think Blair Davenport would be a really good addition to a Raw roster, right? And I'm speaking as obviously I don't know where people are going to fall in the draft, but if we're just talking about like the Raw women's division right now is really honestly if we're talking about a whole, right? It's just like if you're judging the NBA, you're gonna be like, man, the talent in the NBA is at an all-time high right now. It's really good. you're judging from the top all the way to the bottom, but your top is elite, right? So much, and even your middle is so elite to where it makes everything look better. With the Raw women's division and even the WWE women's division, it's the main roster, anyways. It's not great. It's not great, man. Like you have very few women's wrestlers in WWE on the main roster who can wrestle, who can entertain, who can talk on the mic, who can do all these different things, can hold a belt. But there just isn't that many, right? You got Rhea, you got Becky, you got Bianca, you got Bailey, you got Charlotte when she's here, right? You know, uh, after that, that's about it, honestly. Asuka, but Asuka isn't good on the mic, and we've seen she's not good as a champion, and wrestling is a little sus as well. So I don't know, man. I think Io Sky's up there, right? Doesn't give you the mic work, but I don't think it really matters, right? It's kind of part of her character. But I just don't think the division just isn't super deep. Like the top is really good, but the mid and the bottom is kind of rough, man. Like Chelsea Green is one of the top ones, and we know I love Chelsea. She's great, outstanding for television. But like she's not that great in the ring. And I think they need to invest a little bit more. Now, I will say the good thing is the NXT women's division is loaded. That's why I'm kind of looking at this roster, NXT women's roster, and like the main roster needs some help. Let's go ahead and start sending some of these girls up. So Blair Davenport, I think, would be great on the main roster. She'd have some great matches with like Becky, some great like real feud type matches. Extreme rules type matches. Her and like Liv Morgan, her and any of these girls would be great. I think Cora Jade would be great on the main roster. I don't know where she should go, but Cora Jade is the type of girl that like obviously the men are gonna go crazy for her, but the girls are gonna love her, right? She gives a punk rock feel. She kind of some people compare her to AJ Lee. I think she's better than AJ as far as in the ring. But Cora Jay's amazing, and she's dating Braun Breaker. Why did I struggle with that? She's dating Braun Breaker, which I would think she's probably gonna be like, "Hey, you're not gonna be at NXT anymore. Let me go ahead and go on the road with him." So I think Cora Jade would be a really good pickup for somebody. I think Gigi Dolan's probably ready to move on up. I think she's really good in the ring, and is a good character. I think she should move on up. I do think potentially, I think Kiana James, I think you keep her in NXT because I think Kiana James has the potential to be a women's champion. So I think you keep her in NXT for a bit. Let her cook some more, and she can really get the spotlight on her a little more. One I'm very interested in, Lash Legend. Now, I would say keep Lash Legend in NXT, right? Because if you bring Lash Legend up, I'm telling you, the internet and these stupid bookers are going to be like, "Oh, okay, she has to fight Jade or Bianca Belair. Like it has to happen immediately." It's like, bro, not all black people need to wrestle each other, right? They can be cool and acknowledge each other, but she doesn't have to go up there and be like, "I want to fight Jade Cargill." Like, no, we don't need that. So I would let her go ahead and stay in NXT for a bit, and again, kind of like Kiana James, rise up, start going for titles, start being a challenger of a champion and things of that nature. Then Roxanne Perez, I think she probably should get called up. I honestly don't think she has the bones or the skills to be a very good heel, which they're trying to do with her right now. I just don't think she has that. So I think her coming in as a babyface would be good for the division. And Lyra Valkyria, I'm interested. I want to see a little more. But if they called her up, wouldn't be mad at all. It'd be a very good addition. Kalani Jordan, people like her, people, you know what I mean? Certain wrestlers should stay just because they have so much. Jada Parker, like these two have so much potential to the point where I'm like, no, they should definitely stay. Just because they can run that whole place. Fallon Henley is another really, really good one who, if they called her up, I wouldn't be mad about it at all. She's really good in the ring, good character. Um, so like again, um, Lola Vice, like the division is loaded, right? So I'm hoping that they do right by some of these girls and really don't push anybody too early, but also let some of the girls who've really been cooking at the top for a while, let them go ahead and go to the main roster. The main roster needs it. They need an inflection of talent, an inflection of athletes. Right now, there isn't that many great athletes in the women division. Outside of like the middle, it's kind of rough. Um, so definitely NXT call ups. I'm definitely interested in what's going to go on here. Um, should be very interesting. Men's wise, I think Dijak. I think Dijak. I would love to see Dijak end up on a Raw where he can really just wrestle for 20 minutes and just keep going up the ladder and can be a person to again get the Intercontinental title. And Dragunov. Sorry, when I say that, I want to see Dragunov go to Raw. I do want to see Dijak get to the main roster though. I think he's earned it. He's had a great year, had some banger matches, and he can really fill up a mid card. Think about Dijak versus Sheamus or Gunther. That's gonna be an amazing match. Amazing. Obviously, Carmelo Hayes. It's time to go. My man been cooking for too long. It's time for Carmelo to end up on SmackDown. Carmelo would fit in perfectly on SmackDown. Once he gets the U.S. title or things of that nature, like Melo would be perfect for SmackDown. Looking here, obviously I talked about Chase U. He'd be perfect. I do wonder, Joe Gacy, probably not. I probably should stay. Looking at the roster, Obafemi, got to keep him there. Keep him there. Let him keep blossoming, keep doing his thing. Noam Dar, I'd say keep him just because he's doing really good work over there. I keep him. Nathan Frazier, I wouldn't mind Nathan Frazier getting moved up just because he brings some excitement, stuff like that. Another woman, I think probably they should leave down there and let her cook some more is Sol Ruka. She's been killing it. Maybe bring her up for some appearances on the main roster, but keep her down there. Trick, I think Trick, you got to keep Trick down there. Keep Trick down there and let him cook, maybe potentially come the champion. But let him continue to develop in the ring. He still has a ways to go in the ring. Tony D'Angelo, that I think Tony could make it on him. Like if Tony was on Raw, being the Don of Raw, that'd be dope. You got to put him opposite of Bloodline though, because you can't have that many, actually saying they run the place, right? So Tony D'Angelo would be a really, really good pickup. So yeah, I think again NXT super loaded. If Wes Lee showed up on the main roster, once he's healthy, wouldn't be mad about that at all. Wouldn't be mad about that at all. So NXT's loaded. They've been cooking over there for years now. So I'm interested to see who all actually gets called up in this draft. All right. Now let's talk about my top 5. Again, our top 5 today is our top 5 draft moves I want to see. So top 5 things from this draft, results from this draft that I want to see. Number 5, I'm sorry, is again, I talked about it a little bit, a more balanced women's division. So I don't want you to put all the stars, Charlotte, Charlotte, the Bailey, the Bianca Belair, the Jades, Asukas, Eos. You put all them on one brand, but then on the other brand, you put Rhea and then a bunch of developmental type of talent. Like, I don't think that's the best way to do it. Now, she did have Becky, but when Becky wasn't going against Rhea, it was who else was even a worthy opponent, right? So I think balance it out a little bit. Especially if you do a good job of calling up the right women from the NXT, you're gonna have a balanced roster. You're gonna have a lot of talent to work with. So I think they should do that. Number 4, Dijak goes to the main roster. Again, like I talked about, I just think he's killed it for too long. Him and Keith Lee back in the day in 2019 had classic matches. Like, Dijak is just too good in the ring to be staying down there and continue to have bangers for, less than 2,000 people. You know what I mean? I think he should be a top mid-card guy. I do also add on this. I want to see LA Knight go to Raw. I want to see LA Knight mix it up with some different cats. You know what I'm saying? Have some different rivalries. Have some different matchups on the mic. I think that'd be really good. Number 3, I want to see. I mentioned it before. I want to see Dragunov go to Raw. I want to see Dragunov versus Sammy. I want to see Dragunov versus, Bronson Reed. I want to see Dragunov versus Chad Gable. Again, these are just people who are on Raw now who could potentially stay on Raw. But I want to see these type of matches. You know what I mean? I want to see Dragunov versus Sheamus. Hopefully Sheamus maybe goes to Raw or something. But I want to see this. You know what I mean? And I think it'd be really cool. I want to see Melo go to SmackDown because I think SmackDown's for right now anyways, it's for the big stars. You know what I mean? Not necessarily good wrestlers, but the star. Like if we're comparing Dragunov and Melo, Dragunov's the better wrestler, but Melo's the bigger star. You know what I mean? So put Melo on SmackDown, let him cook, let him and Logan Paul have some rivalries a little bit or team up together, whatever. I think that'd be really, really good. Another one I have is I want Cody and Gunther to be on the same brand. I want Cody Rhodes and Gunther to be on the same brand. They don't necessarily have to fight each other yet because we know that's a WrestleMania matchup. So I don't want to waste that on a random Monday night in September or something. But I do want to have them on the same brand, sort of like Becky and Rhea, where they come in contact with each other, but they don't necessarily fight at that moment. But they're very much aware of each other's presence and very much aware that like our roads are going to meet at some point. And so just be prepared. You know what I mean? I think that adds a lot of intrigue, and I always like, oh, okay, is it Gunther? Gunther's coming for him now? Like, you know what I mean? So I think that'd be really good. And then, I'm struggling with this, and I may talk myself out of this, but my number 1 was put Roman and Seth on the same brand. I don't know what that would be because they both love their schedules. Obviously, Seth Rollins has a baby with Becky Lynch, and those two are always on the same show due to their schedule with their baby and everything. Roman loves being on for SmackDown because he only has to work Fridays, and it just works out for him, right? But I would love to see Seth and Roman on the same brand because that is tension off the top, right? That is history for years, almost pretty much a decade, right? And we saw what that type of history and type of moments that can bring at WrestleMania. Just imagine if they were on the same brand week to week. That would be really dope. So I'd love to see Roman and Seth on the same brand and just, killing it together, whether they're adversaries or they somehow come to agreement on being allies for a moment. Like, I think that'd be really cool. So, but those are my top 5 draft moves I want to see. But, folks, I appreciate you tuning in. Again, there's been some amazing couple weeks for WWE coming off a historic WrestleMania. And I feel like Triple H is still understanding that, hey, we got momentum. We've had momentum, but we really got momentum due to this WrestleMania, and we got a lot of casuals tuning in. So let's really capture their attention. Let's really keep banging out outstanding episodes. You know what I mean? This new era. So really excited about that. So again, I appreciate you listening. Hit us up on Twitter, on the Facebook. I appreciate any feedback you have. Shout out to Larry who hit us up. Has some cool feedback for us, for me, El, and Pat, and everybody, and Spencer. So I appreciate everybody. Again, we'll have the fellas back on pretty soon here. But appreciate the feedback. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything you can hit me up on as far as Wrestling WorldWide Willis, definitely hit me up. We'll also have some different guests, some guests who also talk about wrestling and do podcasts and handle social media about wrestling, things of that nature. So look forward to that. But until next time, we out. Yeah.